Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is KidNativeBloodyElbow.com for the Care Don't Care preview for UFC 197. Joined once again by the inevitable, ineffable, ineluctable Eugene S. Robinson, author of Fight Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About a Long, Slow Screw. You're afraid you might get screwed if you paid for a ticket. Eugene, give us a disclaimer right quick.
Disclaimer. The disclaimer is crybabies, bedwetters, which I notice in the intro when Kid Nate writes it up, he leaves out the bedwetters part. He's got something in his heart for bedwetters. But crybabies and bedwetters, this has less to do with your skills and talents as a fighter or a human being and much more to do with the marketing heft and weight that the bald one, Zuffa, and the UFC put behind you. Do not take it personally. You want to move from don't care to care, like Paul Felder, Charles, the Collier kid, and then Oliveira. Fight an interesting fight. We'll remember you next time. But until then, don't come crying to us. Crybabies and bedwetters.
All right, and we have a very special segment. Speaking of don't take it personal, Alexei, introduce the show.
I'm Alexei Old. Welcome to If I Did It.
A show within a show.
A show within a show.
It's meta, baby. Meta.
Where we analyze and solve PR kerfuffles from the MMA world and beyond.
Heavy meta.
Exactly. Joining me as always is Kid Native Bloody Elbow and Eugene S. Robinson, author of Fight Everything You Always Want to Know About Ass Kicking. We're afraid to get your ass kicked for asking.
Nice.
Gentlemen, we are here because a cataclysmic event occurred yesterday after we filmed our show. Was it coincidental that he chose to break the news after we wrapped up? There's something to ponder. But anyway,
he wanted to fuck me over.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about.
Eugene.
Sir.
You're Conor McGregor.
Yep.
On Tuesday, you shook the MMA world by posting on Twitter, "I've decided to retire young. Thanks for the cheese. Catch us later." Don't be scared, homie, to break down the madness behind your macho decision. Oh, yeah.
You know what? There was a MMA journalist, I don't remember who kind of called this. Who was it? Was it Ariel Hawani? No. Was it
It was one of the Journalists of the Year contenders.
Was it Ben Folks or who was it? No! It was. Come on, help me out, fellas. Who was it? That's right.
It's right on the tip of my tongue.
SUD. Yeah, Esparza. Hot. You know what? This is the thing. We were debating on Knuckle Up about McGregor. Is McGregor a true believer? Is a cynical opportunist? And some people said, "Oh, see, he's a cynical opportunist." I go, "No, you got it all wrong. A cynical opportunist fights the fight, takes whatever cash there is, beats it for the Emerald Hills of Ireland, and calls it a day. A true believer says, you know what? I'm going to exercise some fucking options here." And you know exactly the way this went. You know, I used to deal with a guy who was a Greek used car salesman guy, and he would make a deal with you that was insane. I mean, I'm just talking about this guy as a friend. You would take the deal, like, "I'll give you $200 if you give me that tire." You give him the tire. You'd say, "All right, hey, man," a couple weeks later, "Where's my $200? He goes, "$200? Yeah, $200. What do you mean $200? Why would I give you $200? That's crazy. Only a crazy person would do that. I'm not crazy." So I see, "You just stole my tire." "I didn't steal your tire. I'll give you $5 for it." And his attitude was, at that point, it's a civil issue. It's a he said. This is what happens when you fucking try to play patty cake with a true believer. You can't do business with it. You can't do business with a true believer. And this is what the bald one is finding out in one of the most painful public ways possible. But strangely enough, in the long run, you know, Conor McGee won the battle, but he's losing this war for fucking sure, you know. So he says, "Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you $3 million for this next fight. How's that grab you?" That's good. But you know what? I'm going to train a different place, and I'm not doing it. I can't do the same press stuff for that kind of money. It's a lot of traveling and takes me off my game. He goes, "Oh, okay. But if you want to give me $11 million, I'll take that." Yeah, sure. Okay. So, all right, buddy. Hey, time for the press conference. I told you. Well, that's crazy. Why would I agree to $3 million and no press? That's crazy. You know what? As a true believer, I'm going to have to say, I quit. I quit. Done. I'm leaving. I go home with my chips. If you need me, I'll be somewhere. Run out. I mean, I have an escape clause in my contract. I'm retired. I have no interest in fighting for Bellator. I can train and get just as much enjoyment out of training, especially after seeing what happens on the downside of a fight, like I did in Dublin where the cat dude died. Come on, don't fuck around. We know how much money you took in for the last fight. We know how much you're going to take in for this fight. You are just standing on some sort of fucking weird principle. You're trying to out-macho me. I'm gone, you know. I can play the shit, you know, stroll through the hills and not think about you again at all. Good luck.
What do you think, Nate?
I think it was a bold move, dangerous and foolish, but, you know, it's the kind of move that true believers make. So.
Well, do you have advice for said true believer?
The thing is, your best defense when you're a true believer is your belief, you know. At this point now, I believe in, you know, this game of chicken that he's playing with the bald one. I believe the bald one is finding out that he has absolutely zero problem never fighting again. I can train and get as much enjoyment out. I mean, that's the only way you lose, and you will always lose to a true believer even though you win the war. Why? How did the bald one win the war? Because he lost the most important asset he had. I'm talking about McG. He lost the love of the people. You know, America, I've made the case, hates winners, you know, loves the losers, but they despise quitters, you know, and they don't give a shit why you quit. You know, people don't talk about Roberto Duran and they, oh, he was this, he was that. He's still a no-mas guy, man. Don't like it. That loneliness of the long distance runner thing, where the champion, the number one guy at the last second turns off the race, doesn't go. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Nah, that doesn't play in America. You know.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to the quarterback, who was trained from birth, pretty much in the womb, to be the ultimate.
Todd Marinovich,
the ultimate NFL quarterback. I mean, his father hooked up with a woman who had a gymnastic background. He pioneered strength training in NFL.
Yep.
He had his son playing with medicine balls in the crib.
Yep.
And he was as a kid, he was like a man amongst children. And he got to a certain point, he's like, you know what? Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to do it.
Yep.
And people hated him for it. They totally reviled him. And he's just like, people just don't understand. There's more to you don't have to. You're not forced to do something, even if you're the best in the world at it. And no one ever forgave him for it. He had to go back and get his money, you know, whenever he ran out of it by playing in Arena League football. But still, people would see him like, fuck, why did you give something up? You had the dream realized, and you fucked it up. So, Nate, what's your take on it?
My take, the thing that we haven't mentioned is the whole Charlie Ward, João Cavalos situation where Conor watched his teammate fight a guy who died right after the fight. And Conor put out a very touching Facebook message, and I think you should take it seriously. Like, this had an emotional impact. Conor's an emotional guy, and he sees the stakes are higher. Every fighter, no matter how confident they are in themselves, when they see a guy die coming out of the cage like that, they all go, wow, that could be me. That could be my mom, my wife, my kids going to the funeral. And is that something I want to do? Is this worth it? And so that puts things in a different perspective, and it probably stiffened his back a little for these fights. Plus, he's had this habit of not signing his bout agreement until the very last minute. And before his last fight, supposedly, allegedly, he was putting in extra demands, and they were meeting those demands. But now he's lost a fight. And I think he was still trying the same stuff. Dana don't want to play. I think Conor needs to keep in the public eye, keep talking, keep saying, I was ready to fight. I was the one to fight. My retirement, was for after the fight. I was going to meet my obligations. And don't let Dana paint this picture. I mean, Conor took control of the narrative by saying, I retired. But then Dana immediately took it back by saying, we pulled him off the card. So if Conor's going to stay in this conversation, he needs to get back in the conversation and reassert control of the narrative. He should be getting out there and doing a press conference with Floyd Mayweather, getting involved in the lawsuit, something. He needs to stay, keep this as an antagonistic situation, and find ways to put himself on an equal media footing with the UFC. Otherwise, like you guys are saying, he's just going to get rolled and forgotten.
But do you think, though, in wake of the death, right, in terms of especially how it was handled in Ireland, it's massive media coverage.
Yep. All over the UK.
Right. And so you're talking about an international incident. So in wake of that, what role do you think, from a cynical perspective, right, I guess the cynical opportunist, of which Conor is not, we're assuming, is like, hey, you know what, if I have to, it's not to say he didn't feel it, but from a PR perspective, if the weight and the heft and the frustration over what he saw if he just went and did UFC 200 and the promotions and everything, it's like, wait a second, you witnessed the guy die and his business is fucking usual? What? Whereas if he tries to spin, it's like, hey, you know what? I saw what happened. It was devastating to me. Lives were lost. I could not just go on and do a promo tour while I'm training in wake of what I saw. Like, do you think that there's what role do you think that plays?
Talk about it. If he's feeling it, he's got to tell people about it and convey that. But it's a dangerous game he's playing because the more attention he brings to that death, the worse it is for MMA in Ireland and possibly the U.S. as well. So, dangerous game, but I think he only cares about himself. I mean, he's not interested in the future of the sport necessarily, so I think he needs to look out for number one.
Because he drives home alone. He doesn't drive home with the sport. He brushes his teeth alone. Gets in bed with presumably his wife, but the sport's not there. I would hope. But I got to tell you, there was a TV show back in the '80s called, I think it was Dungeons and Dragons, something. There was some kind of Dungeons and Dragons-y theme, or Masters of the Universe, maybe one of those TV shows. And I remember it was when I was making Leonard Part 6, and the crew guys kind of came in, kind of down in the mouth one day. I said, "What are you guys doing?" Apparently, a grip had on the set of the. Hey man, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. In the middle of the set had fallen off one of the castle parapets and died. This is a grip who had died. Fell down, died. The director of the segment kind of looks and goes, "All right, hey, could you get that guy out of here and let's set up the next shot?" And all the grip guys were like, oh, really? we got Teamster union protections. Fuck you. They dropped their tools, dropped the stuff, and they went out for the day. And then finally, a producer was like, "You know what? We're better off losing a day of shooting here. We'll just shut it down for the day. It's fucking respectful." And the director had to be like, oh yeah. So from the one hand, again, true believer, cynical opportunist. Cynical opportunist goes, yeah, terrible death. Come on, let's go ahead. Let's do it. Let's beat the drum. Let's kind of forget about this, move ahead. True believer is actually probably seriously affected by it, So I'm not putting that outside, but there is money involved, right? We're also,
but do you think it's worthwhile,
on the one hand, there's a lot of true belief, but on the other hand, there's a lot of do-re-mi.
But do you think he should use that? I mean, I wasn't suggesting that he was feeling it for anyone else but himself.
Right.
But in terms of his opportunity to be able to utilize that in his own best interest, is that something he should go to at all, or is it too dangerous, like Nate suggested?
No, I don't. I'd have to say I don't think. I think he's completely not thinking that way. He probably pays somebody whose job it is to think that way, but I don't think he's thinking that way.
Oh.
Yeah, us. Yeah. Hey, he's not paying me. I guarantee you. I'd be dressed a lot nicer than I am if he were paying me.
Unless you were stealthy about it, unless you were like, like Bombarda said about his accusers yesterday, you're like, you're on a take.
Yep. Yeah. Unless I was on a take. Hey, the number one sign that I'm on the take, how you'll be able to tell when Eugene Robinson gets rich? When I start sporting neck and face and hand tattoos, because I don't have to work for somebody else. That would be the number one sign. Hey, I think Eugene's made it. No matter what I say, if I'm still pleading poverty, but I got a nice neck piece, it's like
See, I would assume that meant that you were kidnapped by a triad and you have some kind of.
Well, there could be that too. Kidnapped by a triad,
Yeah, we haven't seen him in months. Listen, he was sporting a neck tattoo. He's rich. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please. Somewhere.
Out.
Man, so it's like it is really interesting also because when you look at the 7 deadly sins, most of them are covered by this situation, right? Lust, uncontrollable desire for money, gluttony, selfishness, greed, excessive desire by money to use trickery and manipulation.
Lust, where are you seeing lust here?
Well, lust, in terms of lust is described, one of the original definitions for it was an uncontrollable desire for money.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it wasn't purely sexual.
I thought that was greed and avarice.
No, greed is an excessive desire of money by trickery and manipulation of authority, which is exactly what you said in terms of I'm not going to sign the agreement. Trust me. Well, by the way, And then you have sloth, which is omitting responsibilities, emotional obligations. You have wrath, uncontrolled feelings of hatred and anger, which
That's
probably
mine. That's my big one.
What the fuck am I doing this for?
Yeah.
Dante said, wrath is the love of justice perverted to revenge and spite.
Yeah, buddy, you could put that on my business card.
Envious, the UFC is a Conor McGee show. And last, pride, right, which is futility, the irrational belief in self, especially forgetting one's limits and faults. Vainglory, which is unjustified boasting. And hubris, exaggerated self-esteem. It may be a lie used to cover the lack of self-esteem and the committer of pride feels deep down. So, for instance,
I guess
he
I got
loses.
those two.
For him, it's true. But for him, he loses. Think about this. He loses. He has this whole self-belief. He's a true believer. He loses. He said, oh, it's just movement. He watches tape. He watches again. He watches again. He trains. It ain't movement, brother.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he might have had a crisis of confidence and be like, you know what? No longer a god. It's not going to be any better for my legacy.
Which is the peril that happens with all true believers, which was the claim that I make, man. When you get up, when you're face to face with the limitations of your belief, it's like that scene in East of Eden when James Dean introduces his brother to his mother, the madam in the whorehouse in Salinas. You know, it's a cataclysmic moment where your dissonance becomes, becomes consonant, where you just kind of go, oh man, I thought reality was this way, but it's really this way, and the walls come tumbling fucking down, to make a Jericho reference. I don't necessarily think. I mean, the benefit with a true believer is, with a cynical opportunist, you can really hate them because they just bet badly. With a true believer, I actually have some feelings of sorrow for this guy, because I think he's hurting, and in the process, he's hurting himself, and this is not, and he's fundamentally hurting the bald one, because he's going to make of the bald one a lesser man because of wrath. I think the amount of anger that Dana feels right now is probably would move needles. So I don't know, man. I don't see any winners here. If you can see a winner, I don't see any winner. Let's tick off the losers. Jose Aldo, loser in this whole thing, right? RDA, loser. The sport itself, loser. I mean, we could just go down. There's not Johnny Boney Joni, loser here. Everybody's talking about this instead of talking about Saturday, even though the OSP thing was a loser fight to begin with.
Right.
It wasn't
much more.
Johnny Boney Joni. So,
But the good thing is it gives some flexibility with that. That's going to be fascinating to see how they matchmake with this. One thing that people are suggesting is, well, Aldo Edgar is now for the title, but they're kind of lost because of the fact that they didn't beat the champ.
Yeah, they're right. I mean, this is why DC's belt has absolutely zero heft to it. It's like, oh, DC is technically the light heavyweight champ. Come on. Do people believe that Matt Hamill really beat Johnny Boney Joni? I don't think so.
No.
Well, on that note, I'm going to give the baton back. Kid Nate.
Thank you,
Alexei. This
Alexei.
little brief incursion. Peace out.
Bypassing my hands completely.
Yes. All right, gentlemen.
All right,
All right,
thanks,
man.
Alexei.
All right, take care.
All right, back to the Care Don't Care preview. How much do we care about UFC 197 in the light of what's going on with UFC 200? I mean,
well, I care because I'm one of those guys that like, I don't want to miss a trick, right? So I'm always thinking that, oh, I see. The magician is doing this with his hands, and over here he's taking the rabbit and sticking it under his cloak. So I care. I care because I'm paying. I'm not, and people have expressed this, commenters have expressed this, they're doing the healthily cynical thing of like, I'm not sure I'm buying all this. I'm not sure it's really happening. In fact, I am more sure that there's some sort of collusion and that this is cooked up to cover up maybe a drug test that was going to come back dirty or some other. I mean, I don't know that any of these have any weight, but much like Hitler escaping from Berlin and the bunker in World War II, I'm going to have to say, could happen. Historical fact, Civil War. The North won, South lost. I'm walking around a free man. Got it. Hitler in from the bunker, don't know, man. Don't know. I got equal amounts of proof on either side. You sent me the article about the Nazi rat lines and Hitler having a black girlfriend somewhere in South America. Who knows? So with this thing, I care about the UFC 197 purely on the basis of, if I don't care, I'm sure I'm going to miss something. And like Hamlet said, if they but blench, I know my course. I watch all of 197, and in that fight, I'll know whether or not this is collusion, that this is whatever. I'll figure it out. But until then, right, I gotta care. I think you're making a terrible mistake if you don't.
I see. I think that's good advice, and it's not a terrible fight card. In fact, it's a pretty good fight card. Let's dive right into it. We got 3 fights on the preliminary card on Fight Pass, starting with former Ultimate Fighter winner, lightweight Efrain Escudero against Kevin Lee. Do we still care about Efrain?
Yep, I care about Efrain because I like the slow, swirling. It's like Bolero in reverse. Just down, the train, the rain. You know? So yes, I care, but not for good reasons. Do you care?
Yeah, I still care. I'm familiar with Efrain. I've stopped being disappointed by his losses. Here he is
beyond that, right?
He's at the very bottom of the Fight Pass card. So this is kind of like the dead cat bounce of a UFC career right here. I think.
Well, do you think he's being thrown? This guy? Do you think he's being thrown, Lee, as a rung on a ladder back up, or not at all?
Well, Kevin Lee's young and he's talented, but he's also coming off a loss. So I think this is more just a classic. We got 2 lightweights coming off a loss. Book them. You know, I don't think they're investing any mental energy in scheming or planning here. But
right. So who wins it?
I got to go with Kevin Lee because youth.
Yeah, the youth will have their say. I hate to say that, but just because I'm all about building your confidence, I'm going to pick Escudero against my best interest.
All right. Now we're talking.
Action, baby.
Who went 4 for 5 last week?
We were tied last week.
Yes. Both.
It's like when somebody asks me how old I am, I say younger than Anthony Kiedis.
That's well expressed. Yes. All right. So moving on, light heavyweights Marcos Rogerio de Lima against Clint Hester.
Man, no, I don't care. I'm sorry.
No.
I mean, Hester both of these guys had some minor league interest for me, and I've talked about them before. But it's not like they moved from don't care to care. It's more like they were always hovering. So no.
Yeah, same here. All right, heavyweight Walt Harris and Cody East.
They're kind of in the same position, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I don't care. Sorry.
Yeah, me neither. All right, now we move on to
it gets to be cutthroat because for me to care, then I have to make a pick, and I'm not really willing to.
I see. I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't going to enforce that rule.
Okay.
We're above the law, Eugene. All right. So now we've got 4 fights on Fox Sports 1 again Saturday, UFC 197 pay-per-view, but 4 fights on Fox Sports 1. Lightweights Glaico Franca against James Vick.
Sorry. I don't care.
Yeah, you thinking about Michael Vick, the dog fighter? Is that what you're?
Yeah. You know what? Deja vu all over again, man. We did the same thing. This guy's name came up last time, you know.
I know we keep running the same jokes.
No, but I mean that's instructive because what that means is largely that between the last time we did it and this time, he's done nothing more exciting than may have his name make you think of the dog fighter guy. So
yeah, I mean he's got a 4-fight UFC winning streak though, and 2 of them by submission. Choked out.
Steve Allen has written 5,000 songs.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true. So I don't quite care about James Vick despite the 4-fight win streak. But if he wins this time, maybe I'll start caring.
We might care. If he fights an interesting fight, still, these are guys who win a lot of fights, and the fights are a drag. What does that mean?
Yeah, you're still Neil Magny. Winning streak, no winning streak. You're still Neil Magny at the end of the day. Although Magny got interesting with his last fight long after the winning streak was forgotten. But let's stay on topic. Women's strawweight Carla Esparza and Juliana Lima.
Oh, yeah, I care.
Because?
These are women who I paid attention to.
Because of reverse sexism, social justice warrior. That's it.
No, stop. If they were dudes, I would say that they had. If they were dudes, they would say that they had emerged into the care realm. I mean, past fights watched. Interesting smack development. It's a compelling fight. Compelling is a strong word. It's a fight of interest. In other words, if I have to choose to go to the bathroom during that section or to sit, I'm sitting down and watching. So that's
I'm sitting down too, because Esparza just fight for the title against NJ Check in her last fight. So we're going to see this pattern we've seen in the women's bantamweight division where you rise to the top or nearly the top, you get your ass kicked in the title fight, and then you just sink on down.
And that's why I'm going to say, based on what happened to Betch Gahea, that, typically why I like women's fights so much, because they fight with a lot of heart. They just, it's like the lightweights in boxing. They just go out to kill. But on the downside, it seems like their heads are a lot more susceptible to at post facto. So I'm not going to pick Esparza on this one.
Let's see, like all male social justice warriors, you turn into a patronizing, condescending sexist with the psychological analysis.
I'm an insurance guy, man. I'm not going to tell you who's cracking up their cars. I'm going to tell you who's cracked up their cars. You decide the rest.
I see. Fair enough. All right, welterweights, Danny Roberts and Dominique Steele. And I care about that fight, for the record. And I'm also going to pick Lima, because I agree with you. All right, so welterweight, Danny Roberts and Dominique Steele. By the way, I'm not a social justice warrior. I'm toying with becoming a neo-reactionary. If you, democracy is a bad idea.
I'm an alleged co-conspirator, or either that or a Panamanian strongman.
Panamanian strongman's a good gig until it's not.
Until the end. Yeah.
Ask Manuel Noriega how he likes solitary confinement. All right, welterweight, Danny Roberts and Dominique Steele.
Sorry, don't care.
Yeah, I don't either. A dude named Dominique has got a lot of uphill. It's not quite a boy named.
He's fighting Kat, and then he's fighting Kim.
Indeed. All right, now we've got one. Flyweights, Chris Kelades versus the prodigal, Sergio Pettis.
Yeah, I care. I care because I'm getting gossip.
And what's the gossip?
Oh man, I'm getting little birds in my ear about big changes at Rufus Sports.
Oh yeah, they're gonna kick the Pettis brothers out. They're tired of that bullshit.
It's I remember somebody when I was at Defense Electronics magazine, we were talking about military helicopters, and they said, "You realize, don't you, that for every hour of flight, they need 10 hours of maintenance?" Essentially, you have a machine that's trying to throw itself apart. And I think based on my time at AKA and some of these other fight teams, any fight team is essentially a helicopter. It's working to throw itself apart. The teams that do well are the ones that have a feedback mechanism loop where they win enough times to keep everybody focused on point. When they start to lose and they start to be stumbles, you have notable fucking flameouts. And there was one at AKA with the Exodus that claimed Josh Koscheck leaving, even though his photo, last time I was there, I think was still on the wall. It may not be anymore. So, these things happen. It hasn't, as far as I know, it hasn't really, only dribbles and drabs have made its way out to the news. But, programs are changing, coaches are leaving, guys are training other places. Is this a distraction, or is this Pettis taking and making a smart move to fill up holes in the game? I don't know, but I care about the fight, but I'm not picking Pettis.
Yeah.
I just can't based on what I know. It doesn't seem like a smart move.
No, I can't go there either. I do not. Pettis is very young, but he's a geek ahead of his time. All right, but now moving on. Main card, 5 fights, UFC 197 on pay-per-view Saturday night. Featherweights, Andre Fili and Yair Rodriguez.
Yep, care.
Indeed. Yair Rodriguez, to me, one of the most exciting young fighters in the UFC today.
Well, that's a drag because that means that I'm going to pick him.
I'm picking him too.
So we have no action on this one. But.
Well, there'll be action in the cage. I don't know why Yair Rodriguez hasn't gotten more hype. They're putting him in a sweet spot on the pay-per-view, so the UFC's putting some muscle into him. Yeah. But I am high on this kid. I think this kid is really, really, really fun to watch. I think he's technically innovative. I don't know if he's good enough to contend at the higher levels of this division because featherweight is a mean division filled with wrestle boxers that can ruin your good time if you're an innovative kickboxing karate stylist like Rodriguez. So, but I think
have a question for you. Actually, a serious question. How much of an internal distraction do you think the McG thing, the McGregor thing is for Zuffa?
A huge one. Yeah. It's big.
I mean, I'm talking about inside in the offices at Zuffa.
It's a small group of people, and they work really, really hard.
Yeah.
And they've been working really, really hard for a long time.
Yeah.
And they've got, in addition to the McGregor bullshit, they've got this lawsuit going on. They finally won their fight in New York. They're trying to put together a big card for UFC 200. That just fell apart. Enormous distractions. These guys, have a lot on their plate, to say the least.
Do you think, I mean, I said it's a drug that Alexei is gone now, but do you think that this was a stand that the Baldwin felt he had to make? It's like, you know what, if I don't do it now, I got to do it later. I might as well do it now.
I think that McGregor has held him hostage before. And then the fact that McGregor lost his fight, and then you got Mayweather making noise about promoting MMA, and they know that Mayweather's been in McGregor's ear. I think, yes, absolutely, they drew the. I think it was less a line drawing thing than one of those situations like the time when I was a senior in high school and I got pushed by a freshman, and it was like one of these things where I wasn't mad. I was barely paying attention. I get shoved by some guy who's even littler than me. I'm like, whatever. But then, like, over the days and weeks, you know, it stews. The next time I see him, I didn't even say hi. I just jumped his ass and beat the shit out of him right in the hallway for no reason. I mean, everybody's like,
No, there was a reason.
Yeah, but no good reason. I mean, no proximate cause reason.
No, I guarantee you he remembered pushing you.
Oh, yeah, he knew why, and everybody who saw it just thought I was being a complete dickhead because I came out of nowhere and smashed him in the face with my full backpack of books. I mean,
Nice.
You know, people just thought.
And
Anyway.
how did he treat you after that?
I never saw his punk ass again, like coming or going. He was dead, basically. Yeah.
Right.
Problem solved.
Yeah, right. So, all right, so it's a distraction. All right, so where are we now? What
So we are at the second fight. So we're both picking Yair Rodriguez. Is that our – okay. Now we've got middleweights. Rafael Natal, what is he doing on a pay-per-view against Robert Whittaker, a guy who has a little bit of excitement around him.
Yeah, and Natal is no. Sorry.
Natal is the cure for excitement.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm going to pick Whittaker on this one.
I got to pick Whittaker too. He's got a 4-fight win streak rolling in. He just decisioned Uriah Hall. And Natal is a tough guy, but he's got no ring IQ and can easily be baited into a brawl. So, although I think in his last fight he did actually use his grappling. So, stranger things have happened. Anyway, so we both care. We're picking Robert Whittaker. Now we get to the bigger Pettis, lightweight Anthony Showtime Pettis, former UFC lightweight champion and WEC lightweight champion, against Edson Barboza. This should be a fight Pettis can win and a fun fight.
Yep, we care, and on both of those counts, I agree. But Barboza is no punk. Sadly, though, he's become a gift for me. I pick. I've zigged with him when I should have zagged with him when I should have zigged. I can't really pick him in this one, but I have absolutely zero faith in Pettis as well. So but he's not a gift. He's not I trust Pettis, but I know sometimes these guys get a little bit ahead of themselves, man, just a little bit, And some of the better fighters I've ever known have been the ones like Andy Grove would talk about, only the paranoid survive. Guys who don't want to step back. I remember Dan Gable, even as an old man with a double hip replacement, would get on not the treadmill, the Stairmaster or the Scooby-Doo machine, I forget, with elliptical, and he'd be going and he'd be go, he would had this phrase to go, I can't slow up. I can't slow up. Usually most people I slow down. So he was like, every revolution would have to be a higher revolution. So his line was like this. I'm not really seeing that, So I'm gonna pick Pettis, but I will not be surprised at all if I'm disappointed.
Now you're tempting me. Are you trying to bait me into looking for some action here and picking
Princess Bride, baby? You decide.
Yeah, I'm a sucker. I'm going for Barboza. You played me.
Okay.
You just brought back all the reasons why I don't
me.
trust Pettis. He's lost 2 in a row. He hasn't made the adjustments in his game.
He has. The team is okay. That's all right. You're right. You're right.
We haven't seen the adjustments made in the cage yet. If he's making the adjustments. Now, Barboza, Tony Ferguson beat Barboza by switching to a grappling game, beat him with a sweet Darce choke. Pettis has some sweet jiu-jitsu. Maybe he's going to try to get cute, but I don't think he's physically dominating enough as a grappler to put Barboza down.
Long and rangy, so it's kind of hard. But at the same time, if your ground game is good, that's long and rangy can be good, man.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Especially since what he has to fear from him on the ground is not as significant as what Barboza has to fear from Pettis. So,
absolutely not. I mean, And I think the benefit of that would be Pettis disrupting his range, coming in, forcing it into a close-up fight instead of an outside fight. But then again, Pettis is the kind of idiot, not idiot, but, he's the kind of guy who might decide to get cute and say, I want to show off my range fighting. Oh, you've got some spinning kicks? I've got some spinning kicks too.
Yeah, 2 fights ago, maybe, not now.
Yeah. Too serious. I think you're right. Now I'm regretting picking Barboza, but I'm a man of my word, Eugene. Not like your Greek tire salesman friend. Yeah. All right. So
I got a text here that says last guy to pull the power play for more money was Tito. Seems McGee is more savvy than him. Tough game to play though.
It is a tough. Well, he's got more leverage than Tito had. Tito wasn't pulling that near his peak. Tito was already something of a spit force. We'd already seen Couture spank little Tito.
Literally.
Yeah. So now we move on to the co-main event. This to me is far and away the most interesting fight as fight. How's that for a state college kid? That's right. Big vocabulary word.
SAT, word power.
That's right. Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson against Olympian Henry Cejudo for the flyweight title.
I'm super excited about this fight. Super excited about the fight. I've heard Joe's claim. I've heard Joe's claims about, pound for pound bet, and I'm drinking all the Kool-Aid, man. I'm drinking Kool-Aid all over a Mighty Mouse, and Cejudo has made progress by leaps and bounds. But it's like trying to EQ a sound level. You're fucking with the levels to get it. It's like in any place that he could match the frequency range of a Demetrious is here. I mean, with the possible exception of wrestling, and that's only a factor insofar as it's a setup for jiu-jitsu, which I guarantee you, when you watch wrestlers, that they don't believe in it. They don't fucking believe in it. Fundamentally, don't believe in it. I mean, they'll learn it. Mark Schultz, who's given seminars here and so on. Mark Schultz has trained with Pedro Sauer, black belt in jiu-jitsu, loves grappling, loves the grappling arts. For him, it's all one big Booyah base. But 2 years out of the Olympics, he didn't.
No. Well, actually, it was either Mark or his brother. I was just seeing a video yesterday of one of them pulling a Kimura sweep standing, like getting a guy in a double wrist lock and rolling him for the pin. He got DQ'd. But so they were dicking around with submission holds.
That was Mark. And then his quote after was great. They asked him about it, and he goes, I guess they're trying to turn this into a sissy sport. Fantastic.
Yeah, so the Schultz brothers are a little bit of an anomaly in wrestling, but Cejudo, not one of those grappling savants. Like, he's a traditional meat and potatoes wrestler. And his MMA wrestling isn't that impressive, honestly. Yeah. I think he's one of those wrestlers whose style didn't lend itself to MMA. He's a great athlete, and he's become a pretty good boxer wrestler. But, man, you're fighting Mighty Mouse Johnson, and that dude is the king of the phase shifters right now. I think that I don't necessarily buy the pound-for-pound best. I think John Jones is a pound-for-pound best. But I do think that Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson is the best phase shifter in the game, meaning his punches set up his takedowns set up his kicks set up his punches, like his grappling sets up his boxing, the whole bit. And I don't think Cejudo is ready for that. I think this fight is happening a year, maybe 2 years earlier than it should for Cejudo. And
but you know what? Sometimes the right things come along for the right people at the right times. And I'd say the best thing about being Demetrious Johnson is that, you kind of get fed opponents to keep you interested. I think if Johnny Bonigioni had a string of opponents that were enough to keep him interested, he could have skipped that whole drug addiction thing that he was claiming the other day. Just skirted
the dreaded marijuana addiction, like. Remember the Dave Chappelle movie? I can't remember what it's called. Half Baked. Yeah, where one of them goes to rehab for pot, and I think it's one of those clean Saget. Bob Saget jumps up and says, "Fuck you! You're in here for marijuana. I sucked cock for crack. Get up!" Yeah, I mean, marijuana addiction. Not that you can't. I mean, believe me, I know
that
marijuana.
wasn't the first time I sucked cock for crack. Okay, Mr. Biggums.
I mean, I've dealt with the horrors of marijuana addiction up close, and it's not like a serious drug addiction.
Man, I was 4 pizzas deep. I was gaining all kinds of weight.
Yeah, I couldn't find the remote ever. You know,
my anxiety levels had bottomed out.
I mean, I've gotten more spun out on Benadryl, and now when you read the news about Benadryl, you're like, holy fuck, I've been taking this shit like it was candy, and it's like guaranteed Alzheimer's. But being that as it may, I got to pick Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson. This is a huge care. If this was a sport-driven industry, this is the fight everybody would be talking about. Who cares about Conor McGregor? Who cares about Jon Jones? We've got the best UFC champion going against one of the few Olympic gold medalists to ever compete in MMA. This is what it's all about if you really care about the sport. And fortunately, this time they're not making them headlines, so people won't be walking out. They might be booing in the 5th round because they're eager for Jon Jones to come out, but this is the fight that I most want to see. All right, but now we get to the main event.
Yep.
Interim light heavyweight title, Ovince St. Preux, Johnny Boney Joni.
You know, my temptation is to go, yup, we care, good luck, see you later. Boom, chill down. However, this is one of those discontinuities, and we've been there before with these discontinuities where strange shit could happen. Nobody's, like I say, nobody's paying attention. Everybody doesn't give a shit. Oh, I'm going to do other things. Holly home. It's a wash. Just let me know what happened on Sunday. And then the world changes, you know. I mean, however, you know, while all the rest of us are focused on McG and we're focused on this and we're focused on that, I guarantee you Johnny Boney Joni has only in abstract been focused on an opponent. Yes, it was DC for a while. But more importantly, what he's focused on, it's like that great T-shirt. I don't think Adidas put out, me against me. And that's what he's been dealing with, you know. And I mean, and he got himself some space. People were willing to call, you know, oh, you fucking traffic you, but you know, they did for him the second time what they should have done, which is to say, you know, which Malky wasn't able to do. Like, just get a driver, man. Just get to take fucking Uber. Fuck it, you know. You got an app on your phone. Get you where you want to go. You know, half the time they won't even know it's you. Use a fake name for your Facebook page, and to get on there, you get your cab. You know. So strange shit could happen, but I mean, OSP is just one of those guys with certain level of talent who never delivered. Is he going to make with the big shot like an Anthony Rumble Johnson? He hasn't really. I mean, on the occasion, you know, is he gonna do some super great wrestling thing?
No, he can't wrestle to save his life. Like,
yeah, okay. So what else could he do?
He could shock him. He could shock Jon Jones because he's so tall and rangy. If he lights him up,
is he taller than the Mauler?
No, he's not. But he's 6'3", so he's up there. He's not. Yeah. He's not. You know, he's not Daniel Cormier that's going to be swinging up and getting bombed from above. And he hits really, really hard and fast. And
this could be a Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson thing, but I really don't think so. And give me 1,000, like Klaus Barbie said, give me 1,000 lifetimes, and I would be what I have been. You know, an officer in the best army in the world. Okay, I got it. So give me 1,000 lifetimes. I'm going to pick Johnny Boney Joni on this one. I can't go any other way on that. I'm sorry.
So Klaus Barbie thought he would always be in the best army in the world, no matter how many times he was reborn.
And like, what is it about a 1,000-year Reich that you don't understand?
Yeah, I believe the 1,000-year Reich lasted, what, 12 years, 13? Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, I can get myself pretty worked up coming up with scenarios.
Big hits.
Where OSP surprises Jon Jones, and Jon Jones is distracted and not.
I think if OSP surprised Jon Jones, he would probably immediately get shot in the dressing room. I don't know what happened. OSP got depressed. He was despondent. He went back to his room, shot himself 8 times.
Yeah.
What? How does that work?
Yeah, that's the darndest thing. Yeah, I mean, I just got to go with Jon Jones, and I think it's going to be Jon Jones with prejudice, like Jon Jones.
Okay, that's a better bet to take. Is OSP going to make it out of the first round? And I'm not. I think man wants to announce his return in a Machida sack of potatoes, drop you on the floor way.
Yeah, it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be brutal. John Jones is an exceedingly mean and dirty fighter, which is one of the things I love about him. And I think OSP is not going to know what hit him, and I think it's going to be a first-round TKO or submission. That's my pick.
The question is, and this is something where we'll discuss it on Knuckle Up next week, I'm sure, but the question is, if OSP loses, and I have to say but if he loses, is he lost battalion-ized? And I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to have to. He's having a rocky moment, and no, you're not finished. No. Well, I mean, he's in the same place he was before. I mean, did anybody ever seriously see him contending? No. So.
No. Yeah, I think this is a high watermark for him, and now that losing this fight, unless he's just utterly humiliated, I mean,
but he's still a high-level gatekeeper. He's still in there. He's still the top, whatever, top 10, whatever.
Or he gets his orbital bone shattered, like something like that.
Gets air shoved behind his eyeball like Josh Koscheck. Can't get on an airplane.
I mean, remember what Jones did to Brandon Vera. I mean, I don't think Brandon Vera ever. If you follow Brandon Vera on Facebook or Twitter, something happened to his brain. I think it might have had to do with those elbows.
Yeah, but that's why I was thinking, man, they were selling Raymond Pettibon paintings for $80,000. Sotheby's.
And then he got a Twitter account, and
fuck, man. Have you been on Pettibon's Twitter?
I follow him closely. The guy is completely insane.
Completely insane, and not in a cool way.
No, just kind of unpredictable is the only interesting thing. You can never tell what's going to sit. But now you understand why Greg Ginn never paid him for any of the art. Like it's
you're in big trouble if you're talking about Greg Ginn. You can ease up on that, buddy. That guy. In terms of people I don't want to stand next to on the sidewalk, he's on that list.
Greg Ginn.
Many people want that guy dead, allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. He's not a popular fellow, but he blocked me on Facebook. What can I say?
No love. Tell me. Well, what I want to do is I want to fight his guy. I want to fight Mike Vallely. Everybody tells me Mike Vallely is a nice guy, but I didn't like Mike Vallely getting tough with Ron Reyes. It's like,
Yeah, that was.
You know how many times I've threatened to beat Rollins up? 0. What's the point of that?
I mean, fun.
Yeah, I threatened to beat up Dwayne Dennison, and that was.
Why? Why would you want to beat up Dwayne Dennison, the guitar player for the Jesus Lizard?
Because he
stealing Miles Davis licks.
No. A friend of mine she's gone on to commit suicide since then, but was talking to him backstage at a festival. She was kind of being positioned as the British Courtney Love, and she said, Oxbow, Eugene, and he goes, Eugene, you mean that really affected guy from that, and then she was like shocked that he immediately out of the box was talking shit about me.
I see, Donna Shalala. But yeah, okay, now that makes sense. That's a total.
But he and I are friends now, so it was squashed. But I was on my way to slapping him around at the Door Festival. Yeah.
I see. Well, I'm glad that cooler heads prevailed, and you all overcame.
It was ego that prevailed.
I see. Ego that prevailed.
Somebody came up to me and asked for an autograph as I was about to slap his face.
I see. Well, that's touching. Maybe he planted that guy to come in and protect him by. One last thing before we end the show. I was watching No Country for Old Men last night, and it occurred to me that if you were to do a really cheap remake of that you could be a great Anton Chigurh. Like, I'm even thinking just photoshopping your face. The scene where Javier Bardem is choking the guy with the handcuffs and he's got the completely psychotic look on his face. Yeah. Just photoshopping maybe a picture of you with your daughter looking real happy and proud on top of that, Like, that's what I was seeing. But
well, if you had been here even 20 minutes ago, you'd have seen the same thing on the mats at Soralicat.
I see. You getting choked and the guy behind you with the
other way.
Ah. I see.
If you go to Lamb Goat, the heavy metal website, Lamb Goat, there are a lot of people on there talking shit about me doing this GoFundMe campaign for the Oxbow record, which I've been very mellow about. I'm not saying give it so we can finish it, which is kind of blackmail and holding the record hostage. All I'm saying is we spent $40,000, soon to be $50,000 to finish it. Comes out to about $6,000 a song. You're going to steal the record after it comes out. If you want it, just put some money in. You don't have to, So these guys on Lamb Goat are just, that motherfucking piece of shit, that chimp, I'll throw bananas at, but they don't expect you to show up. right? So I show up and I start saying, look, you want a 16-piece orchestra? You want a 24-track studio, right? You want an engineer, mandatory, 12-hour lockout. You know, you want digital hard drives because you're not tape, but it's still expensive. You got to buy hard drives for all this stuff to double back it up. You want all this stuff to happen. You got to break loose from this illusion that these records cost $1,000 because the labels want bands to believe that. Bands sort of believe it, but they know it's not true. You know, oh, it's raining. No, that's urine, and you know it, you know. So I'm going in there, and I'm waiting for somebody to say, kick your ass. That's what I'm waiting for. But Lamb Goat's audience are probably intelligent heavy metal kids. They get right up to that line, and they don't cross it. They
reconsider. They thoughtfully reconsider.
They reconsider.
Poking the bear. All right. Well, that's our show.
Like Joe Rogan, I show up.
Eugene has time on his hands for scuffles, vendettas, the whole bit, the whole range. So, and remember, when Eugene shows up to beat you up, call him Gene. Say, hey, Gene, I've been waiting for you. Is that?
And I'll laugh like I'm laughing now. And then there'll be the Anton Sugar face.
Yeah. All right. So that's our show. Thanks, everybody. Remember, subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube. Don't miss any of the magics. Eugene, show us how to give us the thumbs up.
Right there.
There you go. Actually, there's a little icon of a thumb. Click that. Subscribe to MMA Nation on iTunes. Get the audio without the ugly. Follow us on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson, at KidNate, also at Alexei Old. Read me on BloodyElbow.com. Read Eugene at Aussie.com. Sometimes Vice's Fightland. You can buy Eugene's books on Amazon. Kick into the Kickstarter for Oxbow's new album.
GoFundMe. It's GoFundMe.
Oh, GoFundMe. Sorry. How do I make a mistake like this? Like I said, the Kickstarter for Oxbow's new album.
GoFundMe, which means you haven't put in your nickel.
Okay, don't confuse that. GoFundMe. Kickstarter for Oxbow's new. Just kidding. So that's it. Adios, MMA aficionados. We'll see you next time. Zane will be back with the vivisection.
Zane.
Connor and I will have the 6th round on Saturday night, and then Eugene will be back on Sunday with Knuckle Up. So we'll see you then. Adios.
Officially Monday, but Sunday for those who want to see it live.
That's right.